and it's where the market begins. Here's what happens, is at the end of the business plan competition, on a Saturday, the Irish Angels come into a room and literally talk about every deal, every business plan that they saw presented, or that they know about at that time. An Irish Angel then chooses to either sponsor the plan or not. And every plan that has value gets a sponsor. There are plans that will make it this far, and the Angels will say, "Nah, I'm not going to invest in that one. That was not a good plan." And so there are plans that they don't meet the grade. But the plans that the Angels find interesting, they then adopt. And the education system, we at the University of Notre Dame now say, it's been adopted by an angel, and we stand back. And let the market now take over. So what the Irish Angel sponsor then will do, will take that business plan, and they will do what we call scrubbing. They clean it. They clean it up so that it's market ready. They'll clean the ideas. They'll focus the message. They'll tighten up the system so that now, by the time it has been scrubbed, it's ready for funding. This is where we turn to gap funding, and that's the most difficult funding to find, because usually it's what we have right now is a brand new idea, not really have proof of concept, but it needs that gap funding before it can really get the money to launch the business. The Irish Angel Network started something called the Fish Taco Fund. The Fish Taco Fund. I'll really quickly tell you the story of fish tacos. Our very first business plan competition, we had an MBA student that had gone to California and eaten a fish taco. Tacos, you know fish taco? And so, but fish instead of beef. So it's a fish taco. And he loved it. Well, he went down to Louisiana and up around Florida, the Gulf Coast, and they didn't have fish tacos. And this young man said, "I'm going to go start fish taco restaurants around the Gulf Coast. This is going to be great. I'm going to make $1 million. This is going to be super." He went back to California and got all the recipes, or all the menus from the restaurants, and brought them in, and I can remember his presentation. And the presentation, the Irish Angels are the judges. And he's up there, and he said, "Here's the clothes that the waitress will wear." And he says, "And here's the layout of the restaurant." And he starts talking about the business. And one Irish Angel raised his hand, and he says, "I have a question." Right in the middle of this presentation. "I have a question." And he says, "Yes." He says, "Have you ever made a fish taco?" And this young man said, "No, I've never made a fish taco." Well, that was kind of the end of that business. He never made a fish taco. Even though the idea may have been good, the geography great, that plan needed scrubbing badly. The kid needed to learn how to make a fish taco, because you can't start a business if you've never done it. So what happened was this angel, the person that asked that question, said, "We need to work with these students to answer those kinds of questions. We need gap funding." So he started something called Fish Taco Ventures. And basically the whole idea was to put together a fund to help support the students during this process so that they can get the real money. And the real money, I can get into a lot of detail on where the money can come from venture capitalists and angels and friends and family and bootstrapping and banks and public monies and grants. There's different pools of money here, but they're not ready for that until they scrub their idea, receive some gap funding, they check the 7 pools of money, but then we have the Fall Investment Conference. And the Fall Investment Conference is run by angels, and you cannot present there unless you have an Irish Angel sponsor who says, "This plan is ready for the Fall Conference." Fall Conference, let me show you this. The Fall Conference this year takes place October the 14th and 15th at the Hilton Hotel in Chicago. And there will be between 75 and 90 angels in the room. And those deals now that have gone all the way through education, had it scrubbed by angels, received some gap funding, they are now ready to present to real investors. And that's where the deals are done. And I can tell you, at the University of Notre Dame, we would not be where we're at. We would not be where we're at if we did not have the Irish Angels. We could talk a lot, but I can tell you, the big ideas that we're talking about, we would never have any big ideas that would see the light of it. I can't say never, but it would be much more difficult for these plans to launch the businesses without the Irish Angels. It is our secret sauce. If any of you are in Chicago and would like to step into this conference, you have my email address. Email me. Okay? And if you're in Chicago, October 14th and 15th, just email me that you're interested in attending. It's something that is just, the Germans call it Einsam. We've been speaking German a bunch. So it's Einsam. It's unique. It's one of a kind. And I'll tell you, unless you've been and seen venture capitalists and angels ask tough questions, you will learn how to invest. You will learn how investments take place. And it's live. It's the real deal. This is no fool around. This is the market. Okay? We have an innovation part now at the University of Notre Dame that will include Irish Angels. Our incubator, this innovation part, the Irish Angels are going to live there, because that's where, after they've invested, a lot of those deals will end up there. They will do venture business screening. They will also do venture sponsorship. The bottom line is, Irish Angels for us really, really works at the University of Notre Dame. And I thought it might be interesting for you to hear an Irish Angel and how they function. And so I've had the real blessing of having Tim Sutherland join us. And you can't believe how lucky you are to have Tim Sutherland here today. Tim Sutherland is in energy. He's in every type of energy, and he is all over the world. In fact, he was scheduled to fly here from Moscow. Spends a lot of time in Russia working with oil and energy issues in Moscow, in the Middle East, all over the world, in Brazil. As I've said, Tim is the CEO, chairman of the board for Pace Global Energy out of Virginia. His son is an MBA at the University of Notre Dame. David was in my class. And I can tell you, you can tell a lot about the dad by looking at the son. The son's the real deal. And so I know the dad is the real deal. I've had the pleasure of knowing Tim for a long, long time now, 10 plus years. He's a member of the board of directors for the GITE-UAH Center, our entrepreneurship center, and like I said, one of our first 10 angels. We're really lucky, and I'm just pleased to have him with us today to talk to you about his role as an angel. Tim.
Jim, thank you very much. I have a flashback.
Okay. We're going to do this so they can translate for you.
Okay. Do you mind if I take my jacket off?
I took mine off.
First of all, can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm concerned that Jim indicated that he had some insights into me from looking at my son, because I've seen my son in different situations, and I hope it was a good situation. He's a great kid. A couple of things. First of all, Jim is a very dynamic speaker, and that's clearly why he was put here right after lunch. I'm going to threaten your powers of attention. One thing I want to do today, more than anything else, is not waste your time. Okay, it's very important for me that I share something with you or you derive something from me that you get some incremental value from, that has what I call, and it's been known in the business sector, as shelf life. So oftentimes people will come into a classroom like this, be entertaining, have a cute quote, but never impart something that has a shelf life that you can incorporate into your business process. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your experience base is. I can see that most of you are quite experienced. That's a nice